When you wake up in the morning and you are like so jazzed to be like, okay, today's gonna be my day. And then your kid falls ill and you're like, what do I do? Do I ditch the event or do I stay home with my kid? Because my husband cannot do that, right? He has a full day and it's back to back for him. And I also belly his son. I know he's going at a pace that is crazy. And I have my own business. It was supposed to be flexible. I crafted my life around the need of being, yeah, exactly, being there for a kid and being there at work. So what do you do that morning? So that morning, you have to literally wake up and decide, right? What will make me feel like I did a good job, right? And when I say a job, what does it make me feel like a good mom? And what does it mean to be a business owner? So that day, I actually made a really quick decision. It was just a slight fever, right? It was okay. So I just went ahead. I went for my event, came home and brought her to the doctor. Obviously, there's a guilt. But I did feel like at that moment, I was really playing the everyday, right? Like for me, I run my own business. It's somewhat flexible. But what happens if you're a corporate mom and you don't have that reliable help at home?
Hello and welcome to Make It Work, the bi-weekly podcast where we uncover inspiring stories of modern working mamas in Asia who have redefined their career paths whilst putting family first.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Make It Work. I'm Sarah Wong, your host, and this is my guest today, Liying Tay. She is a Singaporean based in Dubai, and we actually met online about a year ago when I posted about the flexible work options webinar, which was oversubscribed, and she was very encouraging about it because it's something that was really close to her heart. This is because Liying Tay is a co-founder of Crunchmoms, which is the Middle East and North Africa, the MENA region's very first women's networking platform, where it's born out of the need to integrate motherhood and career. And I think it's a personal story that Lee will be able to share about how it came about. She's also a mom of two and running this very interesting business that came out of coffee chats, I think. I know that she's going to have so much to talk about being an expat, being a third culture kid, having her kids in third cultures, and about the idea of how we integrate motherhood and ambition in the modern world. So I know it's going to be something that is super close to our listeners' hearts.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah, for inviting me on your podcast. This topic is so close to my heart. So I'm Liying. I'm a Singaporean based in Dubai. I've been there for 8 years. I am now a mom of two and I run Crunchmoms. And it's been 4 years. It really started because of my first-time mom experience in Dubai. It's been 4 years. It's been amazing. Crunchmoms, if you say Crunchmoms in Dubai, everyone knows about it. It's amazing. It's crazy, but it's
I was following it even before I knew you. I was like, hey, this looks really exciting and very relevant, even though it's so far away, but the content itself was just, really resonating with me.
Yeah, so Contrast is really helping women navigate section between motherhood and career. I feel like with women, we go through life really trying to figure out what we want in our own lives. And then when you become a mom, then there's an identity shift.
Yes.
You're trying to figure out what's next. And also being an expat in Dubai, it's also that added layer of that complexity where you don't have that maybe the family support, or you really have to figure out a lot of things on your own. And that's where Crunchmoms came about, where I wanted a community like that. I really built Crunchmoms as I was building my family. I was building Crunchmoms for someone like me. I wanted answers. I wanted that support. And I also wanted that community around me that could hold for the ambition and also just being really present as a mom.
So good. All right. Could you share what motherhood looks like for you? What's the season like for you with work, conflict in the Middle East, and I mean to travel around for like your own family safety?
Yeah. So motherhood right now in this season has been very chaotic. I think that's the first word that comes to mind. But I feel with every change in life, you just have to be okay, be flexible, just adopt your way of working. So I think right now I'm a mom of two. I have two kids. They are 3.5 years old and 18 months old. And that itself is just a whole different ball game. And with work, we've grown into a space where it's been 4 years. We have had so much traction in the region. And so it's very exciting where when I wake up, I am so energized. I just want to build the next big thing. So we're really working towards the summit. So every year in Dubai, we run a 2-day summit, which has over 300 women in the region come, and we come together. We talk about all things mom life, work life, financial independence, women wellness. So right now, my co-founder and I are building towards that. That's going to happen in October. The season, back to your question about the season of where I am in motherhood, is really trying to figure out how I can help my family feel a little bit more settled. So we came back to Singapore about 2, 3 weeks ago. It's supposed to be a very short-term stay, but I feel like we might stay here longer till after summer. So I'm trying to straddle between my life in Dubai and Singapore just because of what's happening in the region. But yeah, it's a real privilege to be back also. I feel like Singapore is amazing. The more I talk to women around here, I feel like the setup here is also quite good and really strong for working moms. And yeah, I think the season here is, it's constant chaos, but I enjoy it. Yeah.
And how are you building Crunchmoms so far away?
Yeah, so we've actually pivoted a lot of our approaches to events. It used to be everything we used to be in real life, everything was in person. We do a lot of upskilling events, learning modules, industry nights. We do in the boardroom series to bring women who are trying to navigate what's next in front of women who have been in a workplace for a long time, senior leadership, but now everything's happening online. And it is great because we've had the experience. I feel like just bringing everything online now is great, but with what we're building with Crunchmoms, community, the face-to-face is really important. I feel especially with women as well, we really love the energy. I think community-led anything is so important to have face-to-face.
Yeah.
So right now, in this moment, a lot of the events are online, but we're hopeful that Summit is going to be in real life again. It's going to be a space that's going to be buzzing with actual women, very much like last year. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a bunch of things that Liying has very generously agreed to collaborate with Make It Work, which includes online access to some of their events. We'll share all of it in the show notes and also a little bit more at the end of our conversation. So stay tuned. All right, Liying, can you bring us back a little bit to a darker period in your life as a mother? And can you share what you experienced in those difficult times and how you grew out of it?
Yeah. So I think when I think about a difficult time, it would have to be when I first had my daughter. So Olivia was born 4 years ago. I was just in Dubai, I think 2 years only. And when, as a first-time founder mom with your firstborn, I think that itself is so much, right? I felt I did not have the right support at home. I just had a helper that helped me with just cleaning, but I did not know that lens of what it takes to actually help me with a newborn baby. That support at home was not there. And the second part also was, how do you manage this transition, this journey, this sort of stage in life with your partner who has such a demanding job? He's quite a senior tech leader. And so his time was also very stretched, right? So with a partner who has a very demanding job, and for yourself running a business as a first-time founder, not having that family support and also that support at home that is set up properly, I think that was very difficult. So I would say the first 3 months when I had Olivia, it was so difficult having to break her, baby carry her while running a meeting on Zoom. I had to be standing up. I had to schedule all the nap times with my call times. And then when I had events, I had to baby carry her because no one was at home for me to just be that I could trust. Yeah, that I could be like, okay, I'm going to be away for 2 hours. Here's Olivia. Can you please help me? I didn't have that, right? That was very difficult. And when you're a first-time founder building something concurrently, I feel like there's no pause button. Everything has to be constantly in motion. I had her when it was June, and I was also leading up to my first summit. So it was really crazy, right? Trying to find the venue, trying to secure speakers, trying to even think about the agenda of day one, day two. So I think that was very hard, but obviously through the whole period, it really crystallized why Crunchmoms is so important in Dubai, right? Why Crunchmoms is a very much needed support system and platform for women navigating that new identity shift. Crunchmoms was really there to hold space for women not to feel judged, not to feel like they were left behind, even though they had their baby. So with my journey as a first-time founder mom, I also started including a lot of things in my Crunchmoms event. There's always a nanny on site to help you with your kid, right? It's free, right? You just have to WhatsApp us and tell us, oh, I'm coming and my kid is from what age? And we would help you set up a nanny that can help you just help play with your kid if your kid is maybe 3 and above, or if it's 3 and below, it's a nanny that knows how to swallow your baby, feed your baby, and then clean your baby, right? I think a lot of what I experienced in the first 3 months really helped me solidify what Crunchmoms needs to be for the region. So even the nanny on site was a Crunchmoms members business, right? Everything that we offer to our members are vetted resources and services that both Julie and I, my partner, have gone through and have used. So it's really trying to figure out how do you help someone integrate it? And it's just all based from my own experience, which I think makes it really powerful because you're like the user of your business. And I think that's what also makes it exciting because you really figure out along the way what people in your community need, what you need, and you find and weave everything.
Yeah, wow. That's so good that, yeah, you can actually, the main user
Yeah.
of your product and that, yeah, you test it yourself.
Exactly.
Anything. You have a very clear memory of something that perhaps maybe crystallized this for you or captured that moment in time that you talked about having been pulled in so many different directions and yet really still wanting to grow the company. Did you have any time when you felt like, oh, I'm going to give up or I'm just going to focus on baby, I want to leave? Or do you have something like that? Remember?
I don't really have anything specific, but I would have to say that work has always been my identity. And so I feel like with having a newborn baby, everything is out the window. You have no control of your time. You don't have control of your calendar. I would like to think that I'm a very organized person. I believe every Sunday I sit down with myself and plan the whole week. Right. So with a baby, you cannot do that. You have to be super, super okay with a nap not going well. And how do you adjust? How do you fine tune? And how do you manage your own expectations? So when Olivia came along, I always say that she was my best teacher in terms of everything that I was not strong in. She really tested my patience. She really tested what it means to be flexible, what it means to be okay and just go with the flow because I was never that person, right? So with Crunchmoms, I don't think I ever wanted to say it got too much. I think because I really saw that it was a much needed platform. And so I just wanted to build it because it helped me also learn from other women. And I think when you talk about that one moment where I felt tension in terms of what I was building, being present at home, and also being that spouse support where your husband has such a demanding job. I think one experience came to mind. I was supposed to go to a tech startup event, and that was a huge thing because we were finally community partners. Oh, wow. And it was like the region's name. And Olivia, I think she was about 1 year old, so not the newborn phase, but she was quite a lot older now, and she had a fever.
Okay.
And when you wake up in the morning and you are like so jazzed to be like, okay, today's gonna be my day, and then your kid falls ill, and you're like, what do I do? Do I ditch that event? Or do I stay home with my kid? Because my husband cannot do that, right? He has a full day. And it's back to back for him. And I also delegate some. I know he's going at a pace that is crazy. And I have my own business and it was supposed to be flexible. I crafted my life around the need of being there for my kid and being there at work. So what do you do that morning? So that morning, you have to literally wake up and decide, right? What makes me feel like it's me? What make me feel like I did a good job, right? When I say a job, what does it make me feel like a good mom? And what does it mean to be a business owner? So that day, I actually made a really quick decision. It was just a slight fever, right? It was okay. It was like 38 degrees, right? So I just went ahead. I went for my event, came home and brought her to the doctor. Obviously, there's a guilt. And if honestly, is it worth it? Was it worth my time? But I did feel like at that moment, I was really playing the everyday, right? Like for me, I run my own business. It's somewhat flexible. But what happens if you're a corporate mom and you don't have that reliable help? So then it got me thinking also, what is flexibility like in the Middle East, right? Because I would say that in Singapore, flexibility here, I feel, is quite a common topic, right? I've only been here for the last few weeks. I don't know if it's not really based off my experience, but from my observation, what I observe is that Singapore is quite open in terms of flexibility. But in the UAE, it's not a very popular topic that everyone talks about. And so I think that day I really felt that tension. But at the end of the day, I felt you have to decide as a working mom what works for you. Not works. What looks good. It's about what works you feel as he say. Exactly, right? Because you're constantly in this in between where you want to be there all the time. But then if you're there all the time, you won't feel good because you want to also have that space to just you want to park that or you want that space to feel like you're building onto something. Okay. And so that was the one experience that came to mind where I was like tough.
I feel like everyone can relate to something like that. So it's interesting that how you decided at point of time. So baby was okay. I'm sure.
Yeah, the day it's just a fever, but as a first time mom, and when your kid has that fever for the first time,
Yes.
you were like, what happened?
All right. Okay, let's talk about partner dynamic. Your partner sounds like he's running, I don't know, 100 miles per hour.
Yeah.
And so are you. Like, how do you guys make it work?
It really took a while. I feel like both of us are very ambitious. We're both sort of top of our game, I would say, just trying to build what we believed is what feels good to us, right? So when we had that kid, when we had Olivia, it was a whole 360 sort of dynamic change. It really took a lot from us to have this open conversation. I always tell him running your family unit is like running a startup. You always have to over communicate. You always have to really have a operating system at home. So in the beginning, I would always feel like it needed to be 50-50.
Okay.
I always wanted him to be a very involved dad, and my idea of what an involved dad was also very fixated. But I think over time, it is now very fluid, I would say. I think fluid is the word that comes to mind. So what does that mean? We have different moments in the year, for example, where it's more busy or less busy. And so it's always a 50-50 or 80-20. So he knows, for example, when I'm working towards a corporate pitch or summit, I am full on. I am not going to be there for all the drop-offs and all the pickups, and I'm not going to be super present after 8 p.m. because I'm like on my laptop, and he is okay with it. He would then try to readjust and be on the same page with me to help me manage that load that I have that is outside of the family. So how we make it work is Sunday family meeting. Every day we have a set agenda where we run through, let's say, what happens throughout the week. Meal planning is on the agenda because as an expat family, you have to manage all the grocery, teaching our helper how to cook certain dishes, right? Every Sunday is this family meeting where we cover 3 main topics that is recurring. And so it's predictable. When we sit together from 4 to 5 p.m., we know exactly what we'll need to discuss. So we come prepared. So we have to come prepared. Yeah, oh no. Sounds really crazy, but we also have things like trying to figure out the whole schedule of the week, right? So let's say, is he going to be home for dinner? Do I have to be out running an event? What time will I need to be out of it? So then he then helps me to be like, okay, I can end my meeting early and you can get out of the door by 6:30 to make it to your event by 8, for example. And so this family meeting, I feel, has really helped us make it work.
Yeah.
We try not to spring a huge topic in the middle of the week. Right? So let's say if it's a big topic that cannot be resolved on a WhatsApp chat, we will put a pin on it and say, let's talk about it on Sunday. Because what we don't like to do is when it's a back-to-back day and then your husband comes and tells you, oh, you have to decide on this right now. That's very difficult. And that's where the tension comes. And that's where miscommunication, and that's where a lot of frustration will happen between us. Right. So I think this is how we're comfortable running our family. Yes. I don't know if it's for everyone, but I think we run it in a way where it works for us. It needed some time to be okay with it. Everything is now in a calendar for you. We run a shared calendar. It's not in the calendar, it's not happening. So how do you manage socials? How do you manage now with the kids having extra classes? Yeah. How do you layer them on top of what you want to do, like a haircut or like a workout you want to do over the weekend? So for us, it's all about making sure that Sunday meeting is not missed, making sure that we check in with each other. And I think also after being parents of 4 years, I would say, it's also relearning what your partner needs, time out, or relearning what your partner wants to work on, right? Does he need a dive trip to just completely, and if he needs a dive trip, when will it happen in the family calendar? It can't be close to October because right, exactly. Can it happen maybe during summer when we're back here, right? Because I have my mom and dad that's around. So I think making it work as partners now, it just goes beyond the how do you feel, how do I feel? It's more about how do we all feel as a family unit, and what as a family unit do we value?
I like that idea of a family meeting. I think my husband and I am tempted to do, but not to the extent of like being fixed and clear. Remind me again what the 3 topics they
talk about the weekly step. We talk about meal planning And the last thing we talk about is just logistics on anything that is beyond the usual programming.
Like that. And then if there's something that pops up in the week, you pin it
Exactly.
to talk about it on Sunday.
Yeah.
4 to 5 p.m.
Yeah. So an example of a big item would be, how do we look into, let's say, renovations? All right. Can you imagine that conversation in the middle of the week? That is really heavy.
Yeah.
Or even something like, should Olivia start swim class?
I was just thinking about, yeah, there's a lot of things in 1 hour, probably extend. Okay, thank you for that hot tip. I think it's a really good idea to just do that. And what you said, every week you just know what your week looks like percent because of that. Anticipate like fever.
And also maybe one thing I'd like to add is between partners, I think the sense of ownership is also super key.
Okay.
When we talk about ownership, I feel like a lot of women think about and manage a lot about when they delegate something. There needs to be that trust to be like, I fully own this task. So an example would be meal planning, right? So I know meal planning, it is under his bucket, and he needs to be able to fully own that task, from buying the groceries to planning it on a Google Doc. Because yes, you can plan it on a Google Doc, but if it just ends there, it's still on to really execute on it. So I feel like with a family meeting, it's good that we make that space to talk about stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's also trust in that ownership of the task. Yeah.
Like that. I like that. I've heard that actually also from other guests about owning the whole process kind of end to end.
Yeah.
Is that where you give that person that responsibility, and you also, it takes, I think, a lot of times like mentally let go of things that traditionally maybe they used to take care of, but then because of like more children and more responsibilities, you have to really be okay with delegating. So, well, on that note of learning and unlearning, is there, looking back, anything that you would do differently or something that you maybe have learned to forgive yourself for?
I think definitely is to ask for help earlier. I think I could have had I could have felt more calm. I could have enjoyed my first time motherhood better if I just asked for help earlier and also know what sort of help I needed. And that's why I feel like with Crunchmoms, it's amazing because you're there in the middle of a sea of wisdom, like women who are maybe a decade in front of where you are right now. Right? So this is the power of community, the power of sharing that experience, which is very authentic and not judged. Right? So I wish, that's what I'm saying, right? I build Crunchmoms to really benefit also and be the core of the user, right? Because I feel like with motherhood or just managing what it means to be a career woman, and would say, or a business owner, I feel if you ask for help earlier or if you learn from others, the speed of learning would be even faster. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so I want to really now focus a little bit more on the Crunchmom story and your lessons learned. So let's start with misconceptions. Or what is one misconception you've encountered about women in the Middle East, and what's the reality of the ground?
So I think the misconception is that women in the Middle East are lacking ambition. I really feel like even before moving to Dubai, I hear so much about, women rights, everyone's just following their husbands. But after being there for 8 years and being in a space where it's such a privilege to meet other types of women, it's so obvious to me that they're extremely ambitious. They really are managing family, building multiple businesses at the same time in a foreign country that they don't call home. Also just trying to navigate everything around them just to make it work.
Yeah. Give us a bit of the profile of the men in your community right now.
Yeah.
Where do they come from? What kind of industries do they use, or maybe they left before? And what is the mindset of the persona?
Yeah. So I think at Crunchmoms, women come to Crunchmoms with a full identity already, right? So they really know what they want. They really know that they are worthwhile, right? So I think women in Crunchmoms are really the kind of women where they so happen to relocate for their husband, young moms for the first time, and they don't have that community around that. I feel like women that come into Crunchmoms have that ambition already in that, but they just need that support. They don't want to start from ground zero, right? They want to just be with women that just get them. So these women come from the region, mostly expats, because that's what UAE is made out of, the expats. So they're mostly expats. Dubai is like their home country. And so I think this is also what sort of binds everyone together. As an expat, you just want to be super supportive and very helpful. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's the kind of women we have in Crunchmoms, right? Just really ready to do more than just be home with kids. The Punch Mom has that ambition and she just needs to be around women that understands it and can really connect her to the right people, the right access of men and go their professional handlers to just work on what they love to do.
So the most of them want to work in corporate or do they want to study one thing?
Yeah. So I think it's a really good balance of both, honestly, I would feel, right? We have a lot of crunch moms who are in very mid to senior corporate career and also women that just want to start their own businesses. So both, yeah, very equal actually.
And probably to have answered it, but bring us to the early days of Crash Moms and what was it? Some turning points that you experienced.
Yeah. So I think the early days of Crunch Moms were really fun, very tight knit. So I met Julie when she had a baby and I was pregnant with Olivia, right? So we started talking about all things, what it means to be a mom and navigating that identity shift when you become a mom and the tension between motherhood and work. So the more we spoke about how we felt, the more we felt like there was this strong pull for us to find answers and build community around it, right? So I think
I'm sorry, but you were already working at that time.
yes.
Yeah, they're doing.
So I've always been in tech in Southeast Asia. And when I moved to Dubai, I was doing a lot of fractional roles, so advisory. And it was where I got to know a lot more about the work culture in the region. And I really enjoyed my work. And then having the baby and then having to navigate again after being settled in what you're in and having navigate this new stage also was what prompted that whole conversation and that Julie and I really connected over, right? So then with Crunch Moms, we started Monday coffee meeting. It was a breakfast, 8:30 at a cafe, just a very small group of women that would just come in, have a conversation, and then head to work by 9:30, 10.
What were some of these conversation topics?
Yeah, so some conversation topics were learning from other people, right? We had this lady that was running the region's first e-commerce model daily shop. So she came in, shared her experience of what it meant to be the only women in e-commerce for just baby stuff. Everything was stacked against her, but how did she raise funding, right? And how did she manage him for kids and running a business, right? So it was just a very small, very intimate, 8 people around the table, really wanting to share and support each other. It was not an event. It was literally, oh, I know, yeah, coffee conversations. I know cool women. I want all of us to meet. And we found a really central spot along the main highway of Dubai. So it's easy to come in and out and then hit to the central business district, which is called DIFC in Dubai. And so I think it started very organically and people just heard about Crunch Moms through people that came to these coffees. Yeah, it was really fun and it was very unstructured. It was very open mic. We obviously had things like when you come in, you have to introduce yourself, right? And you have to also say what you're looking for and what maybe someone across you could help you with, right? So it was somewhat structured but very intentional. As 8 people grew to 12 people and then one day we had 18 people at the cafe and we're like, oh, wow. And the parking is, the leader space at the parking person was like, oh, there's too many people. We can't park. There's not enough parking spots. And so I think that was time Julie and I realized that, hey, women are so hungry for conversations that energize them, conversations that mean something and not just a networking event. It wasn't we throw an event and people attend. It was more everyone was part of the conversations again. And so I think that really... So we're 2026 now, so 2022. So that was very early on.
Yeah.
And it was very special because I think everything was really word of mouth. So we had our first paid event because someone from the community said, oh, I know I have this really amazing senior leader. She does all these talks to the public. She'll be a great fit for Crunchmoms. So the speaker came, talked about herself branding, and everyone loved it, right? And I think it's also because of the space that we created. Everyone was just learning. I think that was the main thread where everyone's just learning. It was not, oh, I run a business, I want to work with you. It was fun. Let's learn together. Let's share experiences together, and let's help each other. Yeah. So that was really special.
Love that. Wow. And now, 4 years later, and then I don't know how many thousand women in your company.
So we have about 5,000 women on our mailing list, and it's a membership. So Crunchmoms, you join a membership, and for the full year, you get free access to all the events, all the industry nights, all the dinners, and also coaching. And so we now have about 180 Crunchmoms members.
Yeah.
And they grow together, right? We can really see the what evolution I would say. I mean, we can really see the journey of some women, which I feel so proud of. For they joined my coach. They were in such a tough position in their lives, and they joined Designing Your Life, which is a coaching program that we offer. And after that, what are their reflections? How do they bring that back into their own lives? How do they really change the ways of how they view things to really take action? I would say a Crunchmom member, they really take action. They really change and go on this journey where it's fully theirs. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for doing that. And it sounds like there's a huge need that you and Julie were plugging to Crunchmoms. So what is your vision for Crunchmoms and creating an environment where you truly see a mission, motherhood coming together and Middle East?
Oh, that's a really interesting, tough questions, and I always think about it. I think the main mission is to really shape it in a way where the working motherhood is not a taboo anymore. In the region especially, I really want women to be comfortable talking about being a mom in the workplace. And that is, how do we do that? Is to work with corporates, for example, to programming, to really help them craft parent-friendly environments. Meaning, how do they manage flexibility? How do they look at motherhood not as a penalty? They always say motherhood's a penalty, but how do we convey the message that if a woman chooses to stay in the workplace, a woman is choosing to honor that time that she has with you. And so she's actually extremely valuable as a employee because you're capturing her in a way where she is fully going to be 100% there because she has chosen that. She wants to be extremely productive, and it's a very high performing work culture that she wants to join. So how do we shape work culture so that's parent friendly, that when women want to join your workplace, she feels fully supported through different policies where she's okay to be mom and be at work.
What are some examples of these policies or changes in the workplace that you've consulted clients?
I think obviously the huge theme around flexibility. So I mentioned earlier the UAE right now has hybrid work because the situation right now, the need, right? But the idea of flexibility for working moms still seen as not very popular and not very fully supported by top management because they look at it like, oh, she's not as invested, or she's not, we need her at the office for FaceTime. But if we change that narrative around flexibility, I believe you can really bring women back into a workplace where they fully feel aligned to what they do, the culture, and they will therefore be so much more productive because they feel supported there. Another way where we are looking into supporting working moms is how is their transition back into work like for the first 6 months? Is she having that conversation with her manager? What conversation is she having with her manager to really stagger her return to work? That makes sense for her and also makes sense for the culture. So how do we help first-time moms or new moms when they return to work figure out and do the inner work so that they know what they want and what they need to feel align, and also bring that conversation to their line manager? How do they manage that?
Could we dig into a little bit of that kind of mindset shift, or I guess this part of the coaching program? Yeah, you've seen as maybe some kind of misaligned thinking or assumptions that you've had to have your members work through, like some really common ones that.
Yeah, so I think a huge part, obviously, with designing your life is to name what's happening in your life right now and redesign a life that feels good to you, right? How are you aligned with what makes you feel in flow? For example, know what energizes you in a day. Do you know what is impactful or meaningful work to you, right? Because a lot of us just cruise along and I'll be working and don't really take time to reflect. So designing a life is just a 8-week sort of coaching program where women are very intentional. They do a lot of exercises with our coach Alia to really figure out what truly helps them feel good about themselves. And we start from there, right? Women need to look inward to be able to then bring that energy and that thinking outside beyond the home and head to the workplace. Yeah.
All right. I want to take this opportunity to ask Lee if there's any one message that you have for working moms out there struggling to maybe make it work, what is that message that you have?
I think one message would be don't be afraid to ask for help. I feel like that is super key. And always find someone in your corner to just, share what's on top of mind.
Right.
For me, I feel super lucky to have a very supportive spouse and a really good business partner. Right. So I think that works. And it takes time. And the only way to really do it is to ask for help and look inwards to find and clarify the values that you yourself feel most aligned with. And you go from there. Yeah.
That's good. What is one of the values that is your North Star?
I think for me, it is growth, it is freedom, and it is alignment.
Wow. Very nice. Wrapping it up. So what do you hope your kids learn from you as you juggle work and motherhood?
Wow. I think Olivia and Owen would see motherhood, work, life as a journey. It is always a journey and never be afraid to start again. I feel like failures, it's part of it, but as long as you're okay to learn and restart again, it'll be okay. Yeah.
And if it's okay if you don't, but any example of failure that you feel like you've really learned from?
Yeah, I think when I was in the tech world, I really looked at that as my own work identity and I really went all out, right? And so I didn't take care of my body. I was burnt out from quite a bit. And there was a time where it was not, I guess it was, yes, not listening to my body was I deemed as a failure. But because of that 3 months, because of what I went through, I really took that time out to really rediscover myself and really rediscover the importance of looking inwards, finding that time, finding that pause. And then from there, it helped me propel to the next journey of I deem as career.
Okay, yeah, so it's like you had been on this fast track in the tech world, the markets, and then had to take a bit of a different pace, became a more that hit your identity, and then now you're channeling this same ambition to a new endeavor, but at the same time getting a bit of a different perspective.
You make yourself so cool. That's good. That's exactly it.
Well, it's about writing stories, right? Narratives. So yeah. Oh, that's really wonderful. Is there one thing that you're maybe struggling a little bit now or trying to figure out in the season as well as full London?
Yeah. I think it's always going to be what it means to have a good work-life integration. And constantly, I think, in this in-between tension, all of what feels good to me sometimes, because here I am trying to go at 1,000 miles per hour for work, because like all these plans, but then at home, you're being called to be so present at home. So I think it's always going to be work-life integration, especially the kids are so young. And my husband having such a demanding job. And I think that is one day I am still trying to figure out. Yeah.
Hey, well, thank you so much, Liying. Oh, we have a mystery question from the previous guest.
I will be curious to hear what's the secret sauce for the next guest for them to actually start to experience motherhood, parenthood in a much more a positive way if they actually experience a transition like that. Also, what's the sort of turning point, right? And that sort of a moment of revelation, awakening, if that may be, that made them see motherhood under a very different light.
Wow. I also relate to the question and struggle with that a lot. But I think one thing that really helped me was to really understand what makes you feel like a good mom. So let me give you an example. When I had, it's my second kid. When it has a second kid, it's like a chaos, right? And here you are. That's natural to you, no. And that sense of guilt really hit me when I had the second baby. If you talk about mom guilt, I never really had it when I had Olivia. When Owen came, I really felt it. But a really good friend of mine told me, you have to decide what makes you feel like a good mom. And only you can really decide that. So I decided that for me, it's all about the quality of time with my kids. It's not quantity. I want a mom that spends 24 hours. I need to just choose one activity, do it really well. And if that goes well, my whole day is set. So for me, I started doing that to my own motherhood journey. So no phones, no helper, no husband. I shower Olivia every single day for the first 3 months when Owen was around. It was just 20 minutes. It made her feel calm. It made me feel good. And so the whole household was more settled. And I think that was the one thing that really that I did to really change my lens around, to really feel and reflect what felt good to me, not what other people said I should do. Well, how do you make your motherhood journey feel good to you from you? I think that's the biggest question that I guess all of us are wondering and it's figuring out, but it's really taking the time to really reflect. Because once you do that, I think everything really falls into place. And I really am now enjoying motherhood because I know specific activities that I do that fills my cup, Owen's cup, Olivia's cup, and overall, that also feels a little more calm.
Yeah.
And that's key.
I love that. I really love that. I felt like I had to go through a similar kind of trade-off calculation of like more kids, work, what something I had to give. I couldn't be doing the hour-long playground thing every day at work. And my second one as well, when she came out. And so I realized like, okay, maybe I don't have to do it every day. I can just do it like 3 times a week, or maybe just for the first half an hour or the second half an hour. Like, I'll probably be there first and then I would come there. And then I realized that, that made me feel better. And now with 3, it's also a new thing I'm juggling how to, figure out like the new sort of activity is slot. Where I'm fully present. Like that. It's but I really like that. So thank you so much for coming here. Thank you for your time, share your story, your wisdom. Talk a little bit about the Crunchmoms events that Make It Work listeners.
So at Crunchmoms regular events, we have almost an event every single week, and we touch upon 3 main pillars. It's a learning module track where people come in, women attend, and they learn a new skill, they upskill. We have a Crunchmoms Wealth pillar that was started this year. It's all about women stepping into the power of money, being how do you be financial, right? Financial literacy is a huge theme. The last one is also about this. So we do a lot of well-being circles. So with Crunchmoms, most of these events now are online. Yes. So you can find us on the what's happening this week on crunchmoms.com/events. And you can just go it because it's just online, literally from anywhere by Zoom. We also have a summit coming up, and this year we'll have to add a virtual element to it just because of what's happening. It's a 2-day event, all things mom life, work life, financial independence. We're still working out the theme, but last year it was all about wealth, power, and money. This year he has to work me on the B, so stay tuned. But tune in online. I'm sure that even though some of the topics are very focused in the region, but I'm sure some topics are quite relatable as well. Their festival.
And I want to thank you for just offering discount tickets for the virtual event, I guess, for our listeners. And also, I think you have some free ticket for our listeners for some of the upcoming events as well. So stay tuned. And one last question for you to throw back, or rather to pass on to the next guest about Make It Work.
So I think one question, what is one selfish thing that you did that really helped you feel like you made it work? When it's one selfish thing,
Ooh, okay. Getting the dirt.
It's all about being honest. It's honest infrastructure, right? We really need conversations that are honest and not just inspirational, aspirational.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Liying. Really appreciate you coming again. And all best to yourself, family, and Crunchmoms.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
Let's do it. Bye.
Thank you for listening to Make It Work, where we uncover inspiring stories of modern working mamas in Asia who have redefined their careers whilst putting family first. Please help others discover the show by leaving a review and rating on wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok. Meanwhile, here's to you, making it work.